Hello, my name is Kurt Brown, also known as Saint Rambo. I'm formerly a bank examiner for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, a federal deposit, a federal banking regulatory agency. I have survived an attempt on my life back in 2001 and was prosecuted and persecuted by people in the government who control the United States government, in particular the high finance, multi-billion dollar banking regulatory industry. I was injected, I was basically tortured, jailed, and pushed out and ordered silent on crimes at the FDIC. The reason I talk about David Kendall is that a regional director at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation in San Francisco had allegedly committed suicide in his office. Around 1990, we were not allowed to talk about it at the San Francisco office, and I heard very little about it over both the San Francisco and the Sacramento FDIC office. I believe David Kendall was killed, and I'll tell you why. Just as at the FDIC, when the regional director was shot in his office with his own gun and labeled suicide around 1990, 1992, something in that region or that time, they said he was killed by his own gun. He controlled probably billions of dollars as far as being able to issue bank charters and maybe some demand deposit account transactions. I'm sure he had some control over some things. What came after him was basically a mob boss, per my opinion. I do not trust the federal government anymore. I fear them as much as I would if I was in the presence of Adolf Hitler and I was a Jew. Now, the reason I say this is because I have been attacked many times. I was labeled insane or delusional after the first attack, and they started injecting me with chemicals. I say they, that's federal officers who did not respond to an attempt on my life. I believe David Kendall was murdered, and I think what they're going to do is put in another per CFO who will be kind and complicit with collusion transactions with other agencies, federal government agencies who hold billions of dollars of land and home mortgages. I believe they will transfer those properties over to agencies such as the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, where they have stacked employees. At that point, they will do things to make it where they can sell this thing extremely cheap to their insiders, or the land and houses will simply disappear, written off, and go into the crime syndicate's hands. I encourage people not to trust the government too much, because I did. I trusted the Veterans Administration to give me shelter. Back in 2001, after I'd been attacked, I parked outside their property, and I fear them. Just as in George Orwell's book 1984, I am like that main character. I'm wondering what will happen to me. I was actually called about an IRS international auditor job recently. I have not been replied to in 8 years since 2001. I have been drawing a sort of temporary retirement pension from the federal government. I'm also a disabled vet, and after what happened to me in 2001, I could not find work. I had done nothing other than been in fear of my life. I'm also an investigative journalist. I had tested for murderers and money launderers. I had actually tested for murderers at the FDIC San Francisco. I already knew there were money launderers most likely. I saw bank charters being issued to people from Nevada who came over to California. One in particular in Roseville, which I sat in on at the bank charter issuance. He came over from Reno, and I would be willing to wager that he was involved in money laundering through the casinos. My regards to David Kendall's family. I do not believe he committed suicide. Anytime you have billions of dollars involved, there is the potential for extreme corruption. Let's face it, many people in America will kill you for $20. Many will kill you for $100, many kill you for $100,000 or $1 million. When you start talking about billions, there are many people who will kill you. I do not believe David Kendall committed suicide. I just find it hard to believe. And if he was losing his house, his job, so what? It's stupid. I've lost everything. The federal government took away my career. After working at the FDIC, I lost my career. I lost my sanctity of mind because I was forcibly injected. I lost my feeling of safety because I was attacked on the highways. And they actually went after my wife, bothering her at her work. She was a nurse manager. Came to her, telling her not to tell me not to be an investigative journalist or not to go into the government building. I called a Sheriff Jack Tillman stealing inmate food funds, around $350,000 worth. I did not know how much it was. I ran a test and drew him out, and that was on April 3rd, 2001 at high noon at the Mobile, Alabama County government. I had contacted the jail inmates, telling them I was going to stop the emaciation of inmates, and stopped the stealing of inmate food funds. Sheriff Jack Tillman met me on 4/3000/2001 after I'd contacted the City Council of Mobile, Alabama to tell them I would be there at that City Council meeting. I was going to discuss the emaciation of inmates. In a way, I tied that into the attempt of my life after working at the FDIC, because I knew after the 911 and the federal government did not respond, 911 did not send the information to the federal FBI or the SS, and I had to contact and attempt many people in 2001 after the attempt on my life. I'm probably lucky to be alive, but some dogs are harder to kill. My name is Kurt Brown, also known as Saint Rambone. I encourage bank examiners and auditors who are in the multi-billion-dollar industry to look around them, to report anonymously those things that they may see that may be corrupted. Let's face it, if the American people are robbed in the banking system, it makes no sense to collect taxes, because all you're doing is making the syndicates rich. This is Kurt Brown, also known as Saint Rambone. I have a website titled Mobile Audit Club. My regards to the Kendall family. I actually do believe the man was murdered. He was not suicide, simply because of the amount of money involved. We could have some very high-tech or very low-down type murders whenever there's billions of dollars involved, simply because of the money. Some people are just naive like that. They don't understand the nature of money. They look at small amounts and think it's everything. We're talking billions. I'm probably going to have to let my house go into foreclosure unless I can get a job soon. I was ripped off on it. The American people have started predatory behaviors toward each other ever since the economy started to collapse. I'm probably going to have to let my house go into foreclosure because I had a lot of problems. And my wife actually divorced me because of the federal government coming to our home. She did not like my investigative journalism. She did not like them coming to her work trying to get to me. So she divorced me because of this. And my life has pretty much been turned upside down, but I hold on to the remnants of it. I'll probably end up leaving the United States someday, but where do you go? This is international regime that controls the United States. To David Kendall and his family, I wish you well, and I hope whoever killed your family member or whoever set him up for however they might have done it, and I hope they catch them. This is Kurt Brown, St. Rambone, Mobile Audit Club. Also, that's a website, Mobile Audit Club, and I also have videos, YouTube, under the name of St. Rambone. Have a good day.